But first, couple of sort of fun newsy items, I would say. Did you know that, after we had what was it? Jaden Daniels threw a touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk playing against Justin Herbert. We're connecting all these dots. How about a 4-star recruit from the class of 2014 will be making his college football debut this fall for the Arkansas Razorbacks? That's right. Arkansas is adding 28-year-old Monte Harrison to the roster. Now, how do you go from being a 4-star recruit in the 2014 class to making your debut in Fayetteville in 2024? Well, that's because he was a former Major League Baseball player. Now, this is something we see a lot. When we're talking about recruits, Bud will tell you, he could be a wide receiver. It could be a tight end. Coaches are also wondering if he's interested in playing baseball. And this was a case where not only has Monte Harrison been able to go play baseball, but he's going to be able to use his professional earnings to pay his tuition. First thing, Bud, do you remember Monte Harrison as a recruit?
I do not, actually. I try to flush the prior class like almost immediately. So no, I don't. Texas, maybe?
Monty is from Lee's Summit, Missouri.
Okay. All right. Well, then I don't remember
Lee's Summit West High School.
So this is gonna, do you think that 28 years old is going to be like, Danny, do you think this is going to be our new JT Daniels? Like, is this the oldest college football player that we're going to have in the sport?
I'll never say never. But I love it. Like I like it. I know some people don't like it. We had a great example of Chris Winkie at Florida State, who was drafted out of high school by the Minnesota Twins, I believe. I think that was them. Yeah. I think he signed a $700,000 signing bonus, went and tried his hand in the minor leagues, 4 or 5 years, toiled around, very similar situation. Decides, you know what? I don't know if this might like getting tired of riding on buses all over the place. Let me go play big time college football, where he had already committed to Florida State coming out of high school as well. And then he decides to go back and give it a shot, wins a Heisman Trophy, national championship, gets drafted. Currently, Chris Winkie is the oldest player ever drafted. I think he was almost 29 when he was drafted. But is it a trend? It's probably not a trend. I think it's more of a one-off, but I love it. I tried to go back and play minor league baseball, after I had already played college football. I played minor league baseball. Like, there's some things you can only try once, and you don't ever want to leave it like as a regret, saying, man, I wish I had tried this. So I'm all for it.
Bro, what took him so long? Like, did you look at his numbers? Like in the minors, he spent 9 years in the minors, had an OPS of 722, which is not exactly great for the minors. And then in the majors, he did play in 50 games. So hit with a career OPS of 547. So
he made the bigs.
Welcome back.
I mean, that's not a lot of guys make the bigs. So Winkie was from Minnesota. He was actually drafted by the Blue Jays. Joe Mauer was the quarterback for Florida State who got drafted by baseball. And that actually worked out pretty well for him, as Tom, the White Sox fan, can tell you. So, I mean, good for him. I am a little curious because everybody
got
says
1.8 too.
He declines.
He was coming out. Second round pick. He got 1.8. Got some cash.
So Notre Dame's got an old backup punter. That's what the tailgate's saying.
Oh, the punters don't count. Like, I mean,
No,
I could totally see like somebody signing a 40-year-old Aussie punter.
Yeah,
Virginia had a 34-year-old punter last year.
Punters are like in dog years. It's like 31 in a punter is like 21 in a college, so.
Yeah, if you're spending practice over on the side, right? I need to know that you're going to be in fall camp with the whistle being blown for your reps. Now when you're old and having to go through that. I mean, he's going to have if
you got a parent-teacher conference, I don't care. Go. Just show up on Saturdays and punt. Quarterback's like an easier practice. Yes. I actually have a story that I cannot tell actually about our kicker in high school who ended up being pretty good. I will tell you off the air, but it is pretty hilarious.
And Danny can attest to the fact that when you're on a football team, it's like the kickers, the punters, the long snappers, they're all really good golfers for some reason. It's like they have a lot of time.
That's right. I had I have a Winkie story for you because he was actually, when I said he committed to Florida State, he was there for training camp. Like he went to Tallahassee while the same year he was drafted by Blue Jays, and he was using it as leverage to get his signing bonus up for the Blue Jays. And Mark Richt told us, because I think it was a year or two before I got there, like before I got there as a high schooler, he was there. And so he's in training camp, and they're like having the meetings that night, and they're watching practice, and you'll put young players on the spot. And so he said, hey, Wanky, what coverage was that? And, Wanky's looking at the board, probably wasn't paying attention, and was like, cover 2. And Mark was like, Coach Rick was like, actually, that's cover 3, see the single safety, and there's, the corners. And I guess Wanky's response after that was like, yeah, whatever. Was clearly not invested for the long haul or trying to really delve deep into what opposing defenses were due. And that was what Mark Rick said. He knew, like, oh, he's definitely going to play baseball. He's just here for leverage. But it's a pretty good story.
Chris is confident in Chris.
Yeah.
is a good way to put, yeah.
Hey, it's like, it's cover 2. No, it's cover 3. He was like, yeah, well, I'm about to go see the shift anyway. So like, see you later.
I gotta say, like, there are worse existences than getting a really big signing bonus, investing it timely in the .com boom, cashing out, and then going and being a 25-year-old freshman millionaire in Tallahassee, Florida. Like that probably doesn't stink.
Yeah. Definitely has its perks.
Yeah, that might be why you have unbridled confidence for the rest of your life.
This is true. Yeah,
I can do
it
no
will ruin
wrong.
you once you leave.
We've seen it though. Drew Henson did it. Brandon Whedon did it. Like, we've seen it happen before with quite a few quarterbacks come back.
Wide receiver stood out to me. I mean, I've never ever tried to promote myself as an athlete, but my body was different at 28 than it was at 19.
Yeah,
but
I think that your peak physically is probably from 26 to maybe 30, but probably 26 to 28, right in there. So, I mean, he's 6'3". He's a tall dude, tall receiver.
50 balls. He should be grown man strength, like all over these little dudes.
Yes, exactly. Just stiff arming guys.
Yes.
Running a little speed sweep.
It's worked for BYU forever.
Yeah, that's true. 100%.
There is an advantage, though. There is an advantage to having that grown man strength and being a little more mature.
There is a big trend in baseball. Like they don't let these older guys play center field nearly as much anymore because they realize like your sprint speed starts to decline pretty rapidly once you hit 27.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to Danny's point, like this is very interesting to see this guy at receiver. There are some older guys in the league who seem to not do that. Like Tyreek Hill's got to be over 27, and he's still really, really fast. But for the most part, the guys who play into their 30s are more technicians, strong hands catchers, guys who can understand and run routes. So I'll be interested to see how this works for him.